So, good afternoon, Mr. Rister.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for your time and for such great opportunity to discuss with you such interesting theme as mysticism. But at first, I want to ask you, Mr. Rister, as I know, you worked with too many specialists during your life. You have a big practice, you have a big experience, and that's why you have, different approaches in this world and approaches in different fields. And my first question will be, what do you think about approach of Mr. Maltsev? Of approach of my chief, Mr. Maltsev? Is it magic? Is it mysticism? Or maybe it's fundamental applied science?
Well, I think it's a little bit of all that. I mean, the way he looks at things is he's trying to find the truth of the matter. I think objectively he looks at things and tries to see what exactly, or does see what exactly has happened and is happening. And so it's really incredible to me that some of the things he's finding are they're global, they're universal. From one area to another, you end up finding the same things, maybe in a little different way, but it's incredible to me.
So, magic, mysticism, or applied science? How do you think? Your point of view. I'm very interested, really.
I think it's applied science that helps to discover, what it is that's the mysticism reveals, or the applied science reveals what's behind the mysticism.
I absolutely agree with you, because the vast numbers of people in society, they put the label mysticism to different phenomena that they just can't explain. And that's why appear such phenomena as mysticism. But when you know the structure of this mysticism, when you know how it works, it's a science. No magic, no mysticism.
Right. Yeah. When you look at it objectively, and you discover the root, the cause of it, then you have to say, scientifically, it's a fact. Really not a mystery.
Mr. Rister, as you know, now my chief is producing the great film in 5 series, film Own Religion. Yeah. Now he's in Austria, Vienna. And as for you, how important is such theme as exploration of mysticism, exploration of history of knights, history of knighthood, chivalry? How do you think? Your point of view.
From my point of view, it's something that I've always had some kind of deep interest in, and looked at myself, but I've never had quite the understanding that I'm getting from Oleg is I think it's so important, because it really uncovers a lot of what we've become today has to do with the past, right? I mean, without history, really, who are we? And so I think it's so important to, and I'm happy that he's done this, because it's opened my eyes to a lot of really things that I don't think you would find out if he hasn't done it. And so, history is so important to us as a people all over the world, not just in Russia, or just in Europe, in America, in Asia. These things, it seems like, are being tied together, is what I'm seeing.
Mr. Rister, tell me please, from your experience, from your practice, how how do you think, what is the role of mysticism in martial arts, in military system? Because it's obvious that there is a connection between these phenomena.
Yes, I think it plays an important role because if you're gonna if you really are going to have soldiers, you're going to have a military, or you're going to have martial artists. They're gonna have some connection to a greater power or something behind that's the martial art they're doing, or the military. I think really throughout history, great leaders have sought to use mysticism to help we call incentivize their troops or rally their people behind a cause. And so without that, I think probably you're not going to win the war. If you're going to have victory, you really have to have something behind the army, something behind the military, something behind the martial art that gives you a greater sense of power, a greater sense of that your cause is greater than the enemy, and then you'll win. So it will embolden your soldiers. It emboldens the martial artists, even in modern times. In sports or car racing, that guy, he always believes that there's something mystical or something behind his own vehicle or his team that gives them an edge that nobody has.
Tell me please, as I know you are a great master in Filipino martial arts, can we say that in Filipino martial arts there is some track of mysticism? Can we say in such a way? And please explain your answer.
Absolutely. There's this. In fact, soldiers, we'll say warriors, they would often tattoo what's called an anting on their leg or on their body somewhere that it made them believe they were not able to be harmed in combat. And so as they would go into combat, they would have this symbolism, behind them, and they truly believed they couldn't be harmed, so they would be tremendously brave and ferocious in combat. And the Moros, they would go through a ritual called jurumentado, which gave them in their mind the ability to fight and not be killed. Didn't always happen for them that way, but that was their belief, and they were known as. They would send 5 soldiers and attack 100 and kill many. This is documented. And there was something called the amoks. And they were also similar to the jurumentado ritual. They would call it, are you familiar with the Vikings berserkers?
Yeah.
They would go berserks. Essentially, that's what they would do. They would rally themselves up emotionally and spiritually and enter combat and nearly be. They would kill 50 men by themselves, which probably without that they wouldn't be able to do. So, it has an effect all throughout martial arts. And the Philippines is no stranger to it. They also even would. In the more talk about in the Spanish times, they would use a religion like the Archangel Michael or Saint Orion or San Rafael as their talisman, and they would fight in such a way that it was very difficult to overcome these soldiers because they had this behind them, something greater than themselves. And absolutely. There's many different variables of that throughout the regions of the Philippines and in Southeast Asia.
So we can say that there are too many evidences too many facts, too many questions in our common history.
Yes, in fact, in Japanese martial art, they have a word mushin. In in Chinese martial art, they call wushin. Basically, the words are slightly different, but the meaning is the same. And it would be similar to that which I talked about of a soldier going berserk. Personally, I've experienced it in real combat, that something takes over your body, and then you are able to fight. An out-of-body experience, I'll call it. So this thing is factual. For me, it's very true, And some things you can tell people, and they're not going to believe it. But I have a saying: when you know, you know. You don't have any more questions. And when you look at something, and discover facts, then really you can have little doubt, because it's a fact. Now, convincing other people of that's the hard part, because they sit on their couch, all the time.
Mr. Rister, tell me please, what have you been discovered to yourself from the Austrian expedition of Mr. Maltsev? Maybe you discovered some martial arts system, some new knowledges, and if you can share with your impression, please share with us.
Yes, for me, someone who's done martial arts, is almost my whole adult life. You think that you're not going to run into anything, really different or new that shakes you up, but I could say that I've learned quite a bit in the last few weeks. From just seeing what they're working on, there's an incredible amount of approaches that in a way are similar, but have different I call them pathways. It's a different pathway to gain the same upper hand, and so I think what they're doing is it's extremely effective, and it's extremely enlightening, because the approach they have is in a way different, but in a way the root is the same, but the application or the pathway is different. And so seeing this, it has caused me to really take a look at the martial arts I teach and say, well, I can make it better. I can improve it in this area, in this area, in this area by taking these movements, these concepts, and applying them to my own martial arts. And I've already started doing it. I have a couple of students that have been training with me over 20 years, and these guys, I've been working with them on the stuff that we see from the project. The videos they send, and we test it out against our own knowledge and how we already operate, and then against other things that we know and see and do, and we find it to be quite incredible. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot more, because as a martial artist, if you're locked into your style, then you're limited in your growth. And so I think that if you're really going to be a martial arts instructor, a teacher, then you have to look at everything, and you have to see what people can do, will do, might do, in order to understand yourself better. So I really can't tell you how much I appreciate the gift of knowledge that I'm getting from this project. It's pretty cool. Awesome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rister. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this interview. Maybe we'll have some new questions, and please give us such opportunity in the future to ask you some questions.
Yeah, anytime really I have time, I'll be happy to help you out. Really, I enjoy this, and I think it's fantastic what you guys are doing, and really glad to help out any way I can. So, anytime I can, definitely I'm at your disposal.